Welcome to the Privacy Mentor Podcast, your partner in the fight against identity theft, fraud, and cyber threats. I'm your host, Carrie Kursky. Welcome back to another episode of Privacy Mentor. Today, I have a very special guest with us. It is Robert E.G. Beans. He is the co-founder and CEO of Startpage and StartMail, and a recognized privacy expert and advocate. At Startpage, he oversees operations, product development, technology, and finance. So welcome to the show, Robert. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So let's go ahead and get started. So tell the listeners, what is StartMail and why was it created?
Sure. StartMail is a secure email service that protects your privacy. And it was created by Startpage.com, and that's the world's most and first private search engine. And Startpage was founded over 20 years ago. And we were the first to realize that the huge and the negative impact that storing immense amounts of people's personal data would have. It would have on our privacy, on our personal freedom, and on our societies. And personal data can be stolen, it can be hacked, it can be subpoenaed, it can be commercially exploited, and leading to all sorts of issues. And it's unbelievable how personal and telling someone's search history and also their email communication can be. And we feel that our privacy is a fundamental human right that's worth protecting. So first we created Startpage to offer you total privacy protection when searching the web. There's no tracking, there's no profiling, and it's totally free. You can use Startpage to replace Google, get the best results in combination with full privacy, and you'll never look back. So that's where we come from. Then we continued on our privacy mission and we created StartMail. And StartMail is a secure email service that protects your email privacy. Why did we choose to secure email? Because the whole world still uses email, and we together send over 300 billion emails every day. It's incredible. But what many people don't know is that the email protocols are inherently unsafe. It's important to understand this, that sending regular mail is technically like sending a postcard. The postman and everyone else can read it while your email is in transit, and that's including your attachments. They can make copies at every post office it passes through. Then there's also many privacy issues with the so-called free email services from big tech companies. When you signed up for that Gmail or that Yahoo email account, you probably didn't read the terms and conditions. But the fine print allows them to read everything. They're scanning, they're analyzing every mail you send and receive. If you send a business plan, Google has it. If you send medical records, Yahoo can sell them to drug companies. It ruins your privacy. It opens you up to intrusive ads, to identity theft, to spam, to phishing attacks. And it's not only big tech. Also, governments have an interest into that treasure cove and directly tap into big tech's companies' databases. And that's why we built StartMail from scratch, to address all those issues and help you protect your privacy and keep your email safe. So yeah, StartMail is a secure and a private email service. It offers easy email encryption, unlimited email aliases to protect you from spam, and it can be used as webmail or with your mobile device, even with your favorite email clients like Apple Mail or Outlook. Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, and this is what I really found fascinating. So quick little backstory of how we came about and how we found you is Startpage I've been using. I love Startpage. I think it's fantastic. So we had Kelly on a couple episodes ago, and we'll put a link in the show notes in case you missed that episode so you can listen to it. And with talking her more, then she was letting me know that there's also StartMail, and I looked into it and I thought this was fabulous. So I said, all right, my listeners need to know about this because you're right. Email is not secure. It's wide open. And I love your analogy of a postcard because that's exactly what it is that when you're sending it, anybody else can read it, intercept it, do what they want with it. And we find a lot of, yeah, and we find, I have some clients and people that I know that they're on boards of major companies or on huge nonprofits. And these board members, because they're not employees, they're using their private emails for board communications. Now that's sensitive information that I'm sure a lot of these major companies wouldn't want average people knowing. So that was really shocking to me. And that's why I really started looking into what's an alternative. What could they use without having a major disruption of how they do everything? And I think you guys provide a great service. So we already talked a little bit about why email is important in protecting your privacy, because like you said, it could be medical records, it could be sensitive conversations that could go out. But what are the risks of not using an encrypted email? What else could happen?
Yeah, of course, even if you need credentials to log in and access your email in your mailbox, unless you use encryption, email by default is sent from server to server in clear text, and it can be read by anyone while in transit. So also if you send your neighbor an email, it's also possible that email makes a strange trip around the world and it transits multiple random foreign countries before arriving at your neighbors. All that time it's readable in clear text and it can be copied, and that's including your attachments. Now, just imagine what very personal and private information people tend to send by email. Communication with your accountant on your business financials, medical information with your doctor, driver's license information to make that hotel reservation. Using encryption will strongly reduce the risk that information falling into the wrong hands.
And I think this is something people don't realize. I think people have this misconception of when they're sending an email address, it leaves their computer or phone or laptop, whatever their device that they're using, and it magically appears on the other person's. And this is one-to-one connection. But like you said, it's not. It could be bouncing off multiple servers, which could be anywhere in the world. So you have no idea where it's going. And I think this is going to be very shocking for a lot of my listeners. So let's talk about with encryption, because I know that there are some other services out there that claim to have the email encryption. But in order to use them, both you and the person you're sending it to have to have the same encryption. Otherwise, you might as well just be using your regular email. So let's talk about how encryption works. I mean, what does that really do? And how do you all deal with encryption?
Sure. So encryption allows you to secure your email. And instead of sending it in plain text that everyone can read, it turns your email into completely unreadable, call it gobbledygook while in transit. So only the sender and the recipient can read it. And that's including your attachments. Now, encryption's been around for a long time. It was always very cumbersome to use. And with StartMail, we've made using encryption easy, basically bringing it down to one click. And StartMail offers two different methods of encryption. First, we have the full PGP encryption that uses digital key pairs, and it's technically quite complicated to understand. The second thing is encryption that uses a password, and we use both. But the key is we both made it easy for everyday use. As I said, we basically bring it down to one click. And of course, on top of that, StartMail uses all sorts of other privacy protecting features, like the ability to use unlimited email aliases. And I think that's an important feature as well. So I'd like to go into that a little bit, if you'll allow me.
Yes, please.
Let's say you want to buy something online and you need to provide an email address, but you want to protect your identity online. With StartMail, you can generate unlimited email aliases on the fly and delete them after use. So that will keep your main address safe, and it will keep your inbox free from spam. It's also good to mention we only use our own servers, so not Amazon's or the clouds. And we use fully encrypted email vaults as well to secure your email. Also, when you delete an email, it's gone forever. I think those are important features as well to mention.
Yeah, absolutely. And having those alias emails, that is a fantastic tool, because we all get so much spam, so much junk. And you put your email address in one thing, and now you're getting emails from 20 different places. And so, yeah, everything we can do to help minimize that, I think is a great feature. So do all parties need to use StartMail in order to maintain the encryption? So if I have it, but the person I'm sending it to, they don't have StartMail, which I don't know why they wouldn't, but if they don't have it, how does that work?
That's a great question, Carrie. The answer is no. You can even encrypt your messages while the other side hasn't set up encryption at all. And for that, StartMail offers password protected messages. Let's say the receiver has a Gmail account and you don't trust Google. So when you send an email, the recipient will receive a message from StartMail in their Gmail inbox. But this email will only show a link that connects them directly to the StartMail servers that we own. So when they enter a password, they can then read your message and directly reply to it on our servers without Gmail ever being able to snoop on you.
That's fantastic. I love how you made it so easy. I know in the past, some services that were trying to do that, for example, like through my accountant or anyone else with sensitive information, the process that I had to go through just to read their email was insane. So thank you for making that so easy, because if it's difficult, people aren't going to use it. So I really appreciate that. So let's go over what are some things that people should never send in an email?
Yeah, well, the truth is that regular email is not a secure channel for sending sensitive information. So you obviously shouldn't send stuff like your social security number, for instance, or copies of your driver's license or passport, your bank account, credit card details, any health information. If I have to send passwords, I don't email them. It's better even to cut them in parts and communicate them through different channels. And of course, using encrypted email like StartMail will be a lot safer, but it's still a matter of trusting the receiver. And also it's good to be aware that even when an email is sent encrypted, this applies only, the encryption part only applies to the body of the email and the attachments, but it doesn't apply to the subject line, which is always readable. So don't send any sensitive stuff in that subject line.
That's a good point, because I don't think people realize that. I think they assume that if the email is encrypted, everything's encrypted. So that's a great point. So don't ever put anything sensitive in the subject line. Make sure you're putting it in the context or the body of the email, and that's where you would have that protection. So if somebody is listening and they're really intrigued and they're considering or they want to switch over to using StartMail, how do they migrate their email over? Is it a big process? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's an important question, and we welcome them on StartMail, obviously. And of course, if you move away from your current provider to StartMail, you don't want to start from scratch. And that's why we've come up with a very easy email migration tool, and it copies and imports all of your emails seamlessly into your new StartMail account from your other provider. And you could set an alerting or a forwarding service on your old email account to make sure that you don't miss any remaining email that still come into that old account while enjoying your refound privacy.
Oh, that's fantastic. That makes it much easier, because I know a lot of the questions that I get from people is I don't want to have to start all over and I don't want to have to manage multiple email accounts. So that's a great feature. And another thing that I'd recommend for people too, if you are going to start using an encrypted, protected, privacy forward email service like StartMail, start with your sensitive accounts. Start using it with your banks, your investment firms, anywhere that you're concerned about your privacy and don't want people to get the bad information. Start with those accounts first, and then you can, and your close friends, family, and then slowly you can migrate, everybody else over to it. That way you can start fresh with kind of a clean inbox, where not everybody has that email address. So all the junk can stay in your old one and all the good stuff comes to the new one. So that's a simple way to kind of get started with it. So what about custom domains? I know there's some people that do have their own domain. Can they bring a custom domain with them?
Yeah, sure. You can set up your StartMail account using your own domain. And we have clear instructions on how to do that. Our support staff can help you with it if you still find it difficult, but it's quite clear. So we offer those. Yeah.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. Because again, some people who have those private domains, their own custom domain, meaning their own name. Like for me, mine is, for business, but then I also have other ones I use for personal, and they're on my own domain, not a Gmail or anything. So that's great to know. So since we're talking about custom domains and me as a business owner, I know you offer personal plans, but what about business plans?
Yeah, our personal account costs $60 per year, but we currently offer a 50% discount for the first year, so that's $30. And we offer 7-day free trials to allow people to take StartMail for a spin. That regular plan offers 10 gigabyte of storage, all forms of encryption, free customer support, and unlimited email aliases. Then we offer the custom domain account at $10 extra. And we expect to be adding full business accounts later this year with many special business features like multiple custom domains or central billing and management, etc. For businesses, it's of course increasingly required to use email encryption to keep sensitive email and information safe from hackers. And also legal regulation compliance becomes more strict every day in that regard.
And that, I think that's great, because I know a lot of businesses and even myself, trying to look for that solution, but something that's also user friendly with communicating with people that are outside of the environment. So I think that's great. One thing that we talked earlier about, that there are some people I know that are on boards and they're using the private email. There was an issue that came up recently with a client, and I don't think many people realize this when they use, because they like the convenience of having one email address for everything. Well, if something should happen and the board members should be subpoenaed, that means their emails are subpoenaed. If they're using their private email address, all those emails are going to be subpoenaed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So having another service or something that's where you do all of your sensitive conversations, I think it's a great tool. And I like the fact that you charge money for this. And, some people think, oh, well, I have a free one. Why would I want to pay for this? Because I say it all the time. If you are not paying for the service, you're often the product. So
part of the product. You're very
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So pay for the service. And because of the fact that you charge also for storage, I think is great, because everybody has these email inboxes where they don't delete anything. Everything just sits there and it builds up. So it's a great tool to keep people to manage their inbox, to delete things that they don't need. I think it'll really help with developing better email habits. So I think that's great. Now, here's something else that I'd heard when we spoke earlier, and I think the listeners would be very interested in this. I heard StartMail was censored in Russia. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And unfortunately, StartMail is no longer available in Russia at the moment.
Okay.
In 2020, early 2020, the Russian FSB, which is the Federal Security Bureau, I think it's called, they started restricting access to our StartMail service. Without our knowledge, they had been adding us to some register of foreign internet providers or something of that sort, and requested all sorts of bulk information about our Russian customers. And obviously we did not comply. And then subsequently they blocked us completely, and they even fined us, which we never paid, by the way, simply because it's StartMail's policy to withstand any dragnet phishing expeditions of foreign operators or governments. We're a Dutch company. We believe strongly in the Dutch rule of law and are protected by the European GDPR, which is one of the strictest privacy regulations in the world. We feel privacy is a fundamental human right, and citizens shouldn't be subject of constant surveillance. So that's a little bit of the background there.
And I think that's great, because it shows that not only do you talk the talk by saying, oh yeah, we're privacy forward, you mean it. And you proved it, because you went up against the big bullies and you said, nope, we're not doing it, because that's not what we do. So thank you. I love that you guys do that, and you stand by what you say and what you believe in. And I agree with you. Privacy is a fundamental right. We shouldn't have to have everything being exposed 24/7. So I really love what you guys are doing over there at StartMail. If someone wants to get started, where would they go to learn more or to sign up?
It's very simple. It's StartMail with a T, startmail.com. And we offer the 7-day free trial there, and you can sign up the first year 50% off.
Okay, that's fantastic. And just in case for the those of you that might be watching this podcast on YouTube, you will notice that Robert's picture has frozen a little bit, and it's, don't worry, you look great. But we're doing this. This is actually an international interview where he is over in the Netherlands, and sometimes technology works great, and sometimes it has little glitches. So in case you're watching this on the video and you wonder what happened, that's what happened to the video feed. Well, Robert, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Let me restart the video. There we go.
Okay.
What's very important is for people to become aware. And if they are aware, they're much more likely to take actions to really secure their privacy. And it's very important to protect your privacy. Try a service like StartMail, keep your email private, Startpage to do the searches. Become aware of what other options there are available to make yourself more hardened against privacy abuse from big tech companies. That would be my recommendation for everyone. So important.
Yeah, I agree with you. If people need to realize what's happening and what these big companies are really doing, because again, people, they think that the email is just, oh, I'm just using, Gmail or any of these other ones, and my communication is private between me and my friends or family. It's not. These companies are taking the data, it's going into an online database report about you, and then they're selling that for marketing and other purposes. The data aggregation or data mining industry, it is huge. It surpassed oil and gas. It is one of the largest global industries, multi-billion or maybe even now trillion-dollar industry. And it's the buying and selling of our information. So I applaud you with everything that you're doing with Startpage and also with StartMail to really help people reclaim their privacy and take back control of their information and not allow these big companies to get away with this anymore. So thank you all for all that you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for what you're doing, Carrie, because it's very important that people get informed. And that's exactly what people like you are doing in such an excellent way.
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate you taking the time for coming on to the Privacy Mentor show here. And we will have links to how to access their webpage in the show notes. And Robert, anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome, because as being a privacy forward person, we would love to have you back on this show. We really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, that's it, folks. Thanks so much for joining us this week, and we will see you back here for another episode. Until then, take the steps we recommended, because your privacy will thank you. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Privacy Mentor. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, or anywhere else you listen to your favorite podcast shows. If you love the show, please share with your friends, and don't forget, give us a 5-star review. For additional information, show transcriptions, and notes, visit kursky.com/podcast.